forget your people. Once you in power and you're moving evil, you had the whole place sour. And now that we discover is 2% that they offer. This is one.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and such. Yes, you see, I am sweating. Yes, as Mikey would say on the ground report, like a runaway horse. But of course, I have hastened, of course, to be back in studio because of the monumental task we have in preparing, of course, with a high degree of haste, the election office or the campaign office for, of course, Laventille Outreach for Vertical Enrichment. So I just dropped, of course, the electrician back in Diego Martin and then to rush back here. So you would appreciate, of course, my haste and, of course, the tardiness of tonight's program. But that being as it may, we have to, of course, we have a job to do and we will do it. Election has been called and we have no choice. Election day is the 28th of April. Nomination day is on the 6th. And we will damn well get the job done because it is an imperative, it is necessary, it is a situation where we are faced with the Hobson's choice. Meaning that we have no choice. We must get rid of the PNM at any and every cost. Evil must not and cannot prevail over good. So tonight, of course, I will continue briefly, of course, with some of the initiatives that would have been taken in the Laventille constituencies by, of course, the proxy, if you want to call it that, but of course by love and in association with love or in connection with love or as a consequence of the presence of love in, of course, the Laventille community. Without the support of the Rowley administration, the PNM over the years. And therefore they cannot lay claim to any of the sustainable initiatives that has evolved and came out of the efforts of the community, for the community, by the community, and of the community. Yes, indeed. But let's hear a little more of the music before, of course, we go straight into that because we have very little time. Yes, I'm tired, but the work has to go on. I want to say, of course, one time that those of you who can make it, every single Laventillian, you see the advertisement or the strip or the information tumbling past you on the screen. Yes, every Laventillian, whether you're resident, non-resident, you consider yourself former or current in absentia, all of you are called upon, of course, to bring your resources, your skills, your finances to bring to bear on making sure that we get rid of the PNM in Laventille. Otherwise, we continue, of course, to eat the bread that the devil needs. Yes, indeed, that is what is at stake today. The PNM cannot, of course, lay claim to anything that is positive for Laventille, and therefore that betrayal is unacceptable, macabre, wicked, dangerous, and has created, of course, the Laventille with the stigmatization of crime, criminality, youth delinquency, and of course gang warfare, and the phenomenon, the abstract of borderline issues. We will discuss more of that as we go along into the elections campaign.
The offer, this is one little thing that I want all you to remember. We fed up all your life.
Daddy, could you tell me what's the qualification that I must have to be a politician? When I grow up, you must swear on Bible and take false oath. You must must use big words to get votes. You must lie and watch me straight in the eye. Oh, son, that's the qualification of a politician. You must shun people when election done. Well, son, that's the qualification of a politician.
In Watson Duke's case, evidence has been advanced and he has been charged. And that alone disqualifies him from getting a vote in Tobago as a person who wants to represent you. Our opponent wants to run for a seat under a police charge for rape, for rape, for rape.
Dr. Rowley said come Thursday he will be speaking in Mason Hall and releasing a tape in which the opposition UNC conspired against him in 2015.
I thought I should regurgitate that.
1/3 of the...
I thought I should regurgitate that because, you see, only recently, Rowley claimed that because of the revelation, and I want to say up front, it's the truth and nothing but the truth. Because of the revelation in Parliament, and I had a discussion with her today and she'll send me some more information, Vindication Toppin, the former Minister of Social Development, and at time, of course, acted as Prime Minister in the absence of Kamala Persad-Bissessar between 2010 and 2015, and a member of the top party that, of course, dominated in that period, the Tobago arm of the parliamentary representatives. The two of them, she was one of them. And she made the macabre, and with a fella who has an ego that cannot be contained, not even in Trinidad, possibly not even on the earth. An ego, but an ego of deception, an ego of illusion. Rowley are talking about, yes. He damn well knows, but appear to have no conscience, unconscionable, that he committed a heinous, diabolical crime against another human being, taking advantage of his position as a teacher and the influence that carries with it. And whether that a child of school age, because let's face it, not every child of school age are in school, but every school child must be of school age. Let me repeat. Not every school child would be in school, but every child in school is of school age. You see, I want to make sure that his lawyers, who made the most asinine, puerile, infantile, and obscene analysis, that it appears that because, and wrote, of course, this position in an attempt, of course, to close down 104.7 and jeopardize the license, the broadcasting license of that particular company. And they said that the child was out of school, using semantics. It would not work. Rowley's ego and his probably a psychological, what I consider to be beating and trashing of himself, has nothing to do with whether or not we should have sympathy for him. the fact of the matter is that if that was done by anybody in the society, including him, the raping of a school child, they would have been, of course, subjected to the criminal justice system. And I've always said that what a métier impartial, and in the context of this, there is no time bar, there is no statute of limitation, generally as far as criminal matters are concerned, because it is an offense against the state, you and I, who, of course, by virtue of the laws that we have agreed to operate and exist by, of, and from, that is a criminal act, rape. And therefore Rowley and his lawyers who want to use semantics closed down our radio station because they want to defend him. And more significantly, in the parliament, Imsburg was the first to lead the march out after, of course, responding, but still walk out because Rowley was being castigated. He was being maligned. According to them, he was being unjustifiably exposed. That is what they say. And they have been able to get away with that for 10 years, people. You see, I made a vow, and I'll tell you now why. I made a vow to myself that I will defend and clear the name of Vanilla Toppin, that veritable, very humble woman, extremely erudite, meaning that she's very educated, and her sagaciousness is equal to any that I know in my life on earth so far. And I say that she was unfairly treated, and it was led by the PNM, and in particular the woman's arm of the PNM, led by this lame duck of inconsequence, so-called Attorney General. Yes, I'm talking about, of course, Camille Robinson-Regis. I am sure that would have been one of the reasons why the Stuart Young, just over 33 hours after he was sworn in as Prime Minister, had to call the elections. And let's face it, has nothing to do with catching anybody with their pants down. Look, I am on my own in terms of love and contesting the elections with my co-interest entities, whether it be the trade union movement, OWTU, PSA. I understand that, of course, discussions are engaged with respect, of course, to COP, PEP, Philip Alexander, whichever. The fact of the matter is that Rowley and they have a tremendous amount of questions to answer. But I want to focus, of course, on the exoneration of Vanilla Toppin, because I spoke with her today. And I vowed, as I said, I will do my best once I get the opportunity to vindicate her. and to, of course, establish once and for all the fact that Rowley and the PNM, and the PNM in particular, vociferously and aggressively defended this pedophile and rapist, who has, of course, realized, smell the rat, and decide, of course, to hightail out of the office of Prime Minister and leave, of course, a fellow who greedy for power, and, of course, like a typical, what I consider to be gourmandizer, one who eats greedily, as he, of course, imbibed and swallowed the poison chalice of government that Rowley left behind. You could even call it, of course, waste. You could call it dung. Whether you want to say it's cow dung, pig dung, goat dung, dung. That's the dung I'm talking about. And of course, with his eyes open, he sought greedily, avarice, to fill the gap or to replace Rowley. And less than 30 something hours after, had to abandon that, of course, ambition or that exercise or that escapade. But the point I am making is that all of these elements, protecting a man that is guilty as hell, never one day responded to Lennox Smith, in spite of my over 10 years and almost every night calling him a rapist and a pedophile. But he has the audacity, when he gets the opportunity, to call Watsujuk a rapist. Yeah. For political advantage and advancement, and believe that somehow he can exonerate or absolve himself from, of course, culpability in that regard. What is the regard? In the regard of course, raping Miss Allen, as espoused by Miss Toppin in the Parliament. Whether he is humiliated or you feel vicariously humiliated for him is irrelevant. The fact that he has committed the crime, and if it was any other citizen, they would have to face the criminal justice system, and Rowley ought to have, and all now should be facing the criminal justice system, and we should have no qualms and no sympathy. The office of the Prime Minister does not exonerate the test that is required of character, the test that is required of moral and ethical standard. And Dr. Rowley, in typical brinksmanship style, has demonstrated that he is reckless, he is brutal, and policies and programs that he would have initiated, claiming to be the best for Trinidad and Tobago, but turned out to be destructive, collapsing, and have collapsed. Destructive, collapsing, and have collapsed. And so, the recent, of course, surrendering of government by Stuart Young is an example of the what I consider to be the saturation, or put another way, the endemic nature of this level of abuse of public office for self-aggrandizement, enrichment, and of course, spread among themselves, their finances, families, and those connected to the PNM as they see fit, through the process of nepotism cronyism, and rank and unadulterated larceny of the country's resources. Of course, I don't mind, of course, some of you who might have stayed up. I want to thank, of course, the various callers that have waited, because I said when they called that I will be on a bit late. I want to, of course, say to you, thank you for your interest and your calls. But those of you who would like to call in now, I have no difficulty. I know that many of you would have believed somehow that I would not be on, but my commitment is indivisible, and it is as constant as the northern star and as immutable like a scent. Can't change. And therefore, that level of commitment, I am not saying that I expect as a consequence, rewards. But what I know, hard work, diligence, a commitment, and longevity inevitably produces rewards. Inevitably produces rewards. And that reminds me of the concept I have learned and inculcated as to what is luck. Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Let me repeat. Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So, if we are to apply that principle to what transpired 2-3 days ago, as far as the misfortune and the ill-fatedness of Stuart Young and his prime ministerial, let's say, acquisition being handed, of course, to him in the most undemocratic of measures by, of course, a prime minister who claimed to be democratic, but one of convenience, and have, of course, tarnished the constitutional and democratic history, record, and proclivity of the PNM in one fell sweep by making that rash, dotish, ill-advised, and clearly, as far as the PNM is concerned, and the rank and file, unpopular decision. But he hamstringed them, he cajoled them, he bullied them to accept, and now the entire thing has imploded and at the same time exploded to the point where we now have, of course, a general election to contest. Not that we are surprised, not that it is not overdue, not that is not the issue. The issue is how it came about. And of course, I must take some credit, because 2 years ago, I was claiming that the level of corruption, the level of mismanagement, the level of malpractice in public office, the amount of monies borrowed, nearly $500 billion, the use of the cabinet to enrich members of the cabinet, and of course extended families of members of the cabinet. All of that have contributed to a state of affairs that clearly unacceptable, but more importantly, I could boast and say that I did achieve my goal, and my prediction of an early election has manifested itself, albeit 9 years short, or 9 days I should say, 9 months short of the official closure or termination of the period for the term of office of the questionable Rowley administration, consequential of the 2020 general elections. He claims to be, of course, the 48th? No, I don't think we had so many prime ministers. 48. Whatever number it is, I think it's the 8th. The 8th, yes, the 8th prime minister. Rowley being, of course, the 7th. We don't have that level of history to of course, to reach the 20s or the 40s far less. But that being as it may, the fact of the matter is that it is no more, because he had to call an election in quick session. But the point is that they had to call it early, and therefore I would be in good stead that my prediction has materialized, albeit, of course, 2 years later than I would have predicted or preferred. So people, of course, you have, of course, the lines are open, 337-6940, 337-6940, and we will, of course, take your calls. It is not yet 10 o'clock. It's now, of course, just about 15 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock, but I know that people would have been waiting. And since, of course, their patience has run out, they would, of course, have gone to bed or something, but I'm sure they will wake up surprised that, of course, our ground report was initiated this morning, and that subsequent to it, albeit late, the corridor transformation was, in fact, on air, and of course beaming to you live from the studios of the corridor transformation on George Street. That being as it may, let me, of course, get a little more of Rowley, and to show some of the despicable, wretched, and brutal, or put another way, the brutality of this man whilst in the office of Prime Minister. He cannot be exonerated. He must not be disengaged from what the reality is and what has caused Trinidad and Tobago to be in such a sad state of affairs. Professor, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hey, you hear me, good enough?
Loud and clear, my friend. Loud and clear.
But you could say you forced the election.
Yes, you can say that, yes. Yeah, I must take credit.
No, I ain't telling you don't take no credit.
Oh.
Take your credit.
Right. Thank you.
You have to ask yourself, if it's out of fear to bring in a call an election, or what? Because that whole thing make no sense.
Yeah. They have imploded. There must be some internecine issue. It's a combination, I'm sure, not just one particular situation that has created what we were longing for a long time ago. So how it comes, we welcome. And of course, we are working very hard to ensure 39 seats in Trinidad. Go ahead.
I hear that. But I ain't no lawyer. But that thing with short term with his salary, in my book, Lennox, that's fraud, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, because people angry. They want to take away that salary from him, that potential salary, and whether or not, of course, he is deserving of it, or that should be accrued to him. Yeah.
I wonder if I'm not going to put him in court, but is he supposed to?
Yeah, for at least an interpretation. so as to get this thing over and done with, because that cannot happen. And as we were speculating some time ago, that of course another coup could take place, according to Kamala, and another coup could take place, meaning that the whole exercise was a palace coup, right?
Yeah.
To foist, of course, this man on the PNM with first and foremost, without, of course, any kind of electoral credentials. But you are quite right. Whether or not somebody else could do the same thing and then get a 87,000 salary and pension as a consequence. Yeah.
And then they put register.
Yes.
And everybody get a salary.
Yes, that's like what we just say, plain paid. Everybody, you conspire against another in order, of course, to get an advantage.
But this,
yeah.
And the sister Stefan is on my ship program. Tonight, well, boy, he shocked my key and all.
All right.
She wasn't looking out for that.
You said what?
He shocked my key and all.
All right.
Because he went back in the past. So his son short young. When all the divers we leave there to die and all of that.
Yes.
Man bring up a real thing on the short young boy.
All right, I'll take a look at it.
And leave all the people outside the country and they can't come back in.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That was during COVID, yes.
Yeah, you will talk. Stephanie, you will talk tonight.
Good,
my
okay.
channel was taken back a bit, but then my kid get herself.
I hear you.
And then they talk about outside the Oval, they will bring the Venezuelans to come in.
Yes.
And he gone with the microphone, you remember?
Oh yeah. When the people speaking Spanish, understanding Spanish, well, he goes there talking English and telling them outside the Oval on a microphone. Yeah, one of those what do you call it, balloons. And he telling them behave yourself, otherwise of course we will stop the whole process and put yourself alive. Looking for fame now and all that time. I say, look at this nincompoop. He's a neophyte of that's right. So a total neophyte of a neophyte in excess. That's to tell you the extent to which the blasted man has not learned anything and was never ready.
The man is a very strong boy, Lennox.
Oh yes.
Let me tell you this. You know Chinese people are stupid.
Yeah.
They don't invest bad money. You think them Chinese want money to invest in Maki?
Oh, no. The Chinese don't invest in the way that people one would like them to invest. They do not spend a bad cent, one, and their investment really in terms of local investment is in themselves to, of course, enrich themselves and to advance themselves. Other than that, it would be government to government arrangements through, of course, various companies that the state would finance, but of course financed by the government of China.
He had to look for the money from the 1%. Them Chinese taking no chance with their money to back in.
That's right. So
going on here
that argument is extremely flawed.
Whoever say Chinese go back in? I know Chinese people long enough for me that
and they can't back him either in terms of vote.
No.
Well, so what back they talking about? There may be some sympathizers that say, well, listen, as a Chinese, they're glad for him, but they wouldn't put their money where their mouth is, and they cannot, and they don't have the votes. They don't have the votes to influence the outcome of any election in Trinidad and Tobago.
I talked to Anne-Marie today and she said, Mary, went to get good information.
Yes, I did, yes.
Because listen, when time to vote, people have to talk, you know.
Of course.
And for the time somebody say the name and you know they're not Trinidadian, that's a challenge to see who that is.
That's right.
I see no way how to defend this election, you know.
Well, it's too big, firstly. It's too large. It's too monolithic. It is too massive to steal because the people have made up their mind. They will come out if 20,000 persons are occupy a constituency and 20,000 persons come out to vote, and you have 25,000 in the ballot box, then you know, and therefore one would expect, and I take the opportunity, of course, to sort of disagree fervently with the gentleman who says that independent observers are not important. I think it is underselling and underestimating the potency of independent observers, particularly those of repute from places like the Commonwealth Secretariat, the OAS, the United Nations, of course, and of course the Carter Foundation, which of course were responsible for turning the elections around in Guyana, when of course there was a blatant larceny, a blatant stealing attempt by, of course, senior officials of the Elections and Boundaries Commission in Guyana to steal that particular elections that was resolved as a consequence of independent observers. Yes. That's right. That's it. What's his name? Granger would have gone away with it. Yes, of course. So therefore, my letter that I wrote, I will read it out tomorrow. I'm not feeling like reading tonight because I'm really tired, but I believe that the time is such that there is a need, of course, for constant communication, and therefore here am I tonight, in spite of my fatigue, having, of course. Yes. We got some chairs in. Good Samaritan brought some chairs, 11 chairs. We got 4 tables. We got, of course, paint, 4 gallons of paint to paint the entire office. We will be painting it in yellow to signify our association with the UNC. But of course, you will have the symbol of love and the UNC on the building, outside and inside, to show that camaraderie, that association, that of course coming together, that amalgamation. And what again? Yes, of course, I had the pleasure of he doesn't have a vehicle and he couldn't get home by transport. He had his daughter with him, so I of course volunteered to drop him home in Diego Martin, Bagatelle, where Andy is from. So it's deep Diego Martin, and then to get back here, of course, afterwards. But he's the electrician. Yeah. He insisted that he wasn't leaving, even though I say I had to go on for 8 o'clock. He said, I'm not leaving here until we get lights downstairs. So we get lights. And of course, it's only after we got lights, then he left. Of course, tomorrow morning, he's coming early to, of course, do all of the, what I consider to be the nuts and bolts part of it, just to clean up and to, of course, make sure that the lights are working in different parts of the premises that we would have acquired. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But boy, Lennox, you're a true soldier, boy.
Oh yes. My commitment is indivisible.
Boy.
Indivisible.
So I got what's up in this Alexander David, boy, Lennox.
Yeah.
He blazed them outside, boy.
Yes, I could well imagine.
Oh, God.
Everybody now has to do their part. And what is very significant, however, is that all the naysayers are now, of course, looking to not just rescind, but to reconcile, to go back into their shells as their tone becomes fainter or faintier and faintier, as Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the UNC, and of course the coalition of interests, their presence and their messages amplifies and consumes the entire, I would say, universe. That is the extent to which I believe in the 39 seats that must go to the coalition, and of course Laventille being a part of that, because they have been beaten to the ground. They have been disappointed. They have been ridiculed. And they have been oppressed. And they have been betrayed for too long. And therefore, the people have a duty, yes, to treat with this matter. Yes, once and for all. They must adjudicate on the PNM in the Laventil context. Any other matter?
But why after why here for the village and just talk tonight?
Yeah.
And why here for this talk tonight?
Yeah.
Well, I'll hear you every night. I think PNM better run and hide somewhere.
And those who are trying to raise their heads saying they are vote splitters. There must be no vote splitting. And Gary Griffith, I mean, he's a fairly intelligent man. He doesn't understand the term vote splitting. A vote can't split. It's one man, one vote. That is childish, Gary Griffith. I think I heard saying that. That is childish and puerile. Yeah, that is almost asinine, really. What is meant, and let me be clear, because some people may listen to that and believe that, well, they can't split a vote. Well, let me tell you this. Vote splitting here simply means that if there's 100 persons in the pot to contest the elections, 100 electorate, and there are three parties in the fray. Two of them got 60 votes, and the other one, two of them got 60 votes together. Let's split it easy.
Yeah, I know you come
30. And one get 40. Then the one with the 40 wins. Understand that even though those two got 60, far more than that of 40, 20 more than 40, but the man with the 40 votes wins. That is what is meant by splitting of votes. Because if one of them had stayed out, it means therefore the likelihood that one alone would have gotten 60, and the fellow with the 60 would have lost, because the one with the 60 would have gotten, of course, the first past the post, what I consider to be a system that we have, and therefore would win the elections. Let's not waste time. Yeah. So people do not be lured by any other symbol but the UNC symbol, the rising sun, across the country, across Trinidad, and only in Laventil West, a symbol of the rocket against, of course, that of the Balizé. You must only vote the rocket, because the sky is the limit. Yes.
Don't forget what the opposition leader said.
What's he said? The Balizé, yes. Well, of course, I remember she also says, when UNC and the coalition of interest wins, all of us win. And that is a fact. Put it in your collective and individual pipes and smoke it.
That was a massive meeting last time, wasn't it?
Oh yes, indeed, in La Hoquetata, Paro. I think.
That was a crowd there.
Yeah. And it will grow larger. Of course, the PNM trying, of course, to camouflage and to manufacture and to, of course, make their media friends coalesce a few gathering. And you know what I learned today? In fact, let me tell you what I learned today. You remember I said that I saw when I was coming up to Woodford Square?
Yeah, I remember,
Yeah, I saw people going in the opposite direction, either going for taxi, etc., and so looking ashamed of what they are wearing. That red, that blood. But guess what? You know what I learned? You know what was really that?
Walking away from the meeting.
No, yeah, you know what that was really? They told me that today somebody in the know and is very unreliable in terms of the information. CPEP workers were asked to come and sign at Woodford Square. You know what I say? CPEP workers were asked to come and sign at Woodford Square so that they could certify and therefore will not lose the day. You ever say?
I hear you.
Yeah, that they must come and sign, being present. In other words, not at the workplace, but in Woodford Square, to make sure that they get paid for that particular day. So they take CPEP money. It is bad enough, of course, to tell them come in the square because you're going to lose your work. But they make sure that that is a working day for CPEP workers. Imagine that. They make it a day for CPEP workers. And they went and signed, but after that, they made their departure. And so that evil, that manipulation.
Just imagine that, boy, Lennox.
Yeah. I mean, what lower than that could you get, Rowley? Hines, this lame duck, so-called prime minister, this Chinese man. How lower than that? Imagine that, my friend. And it is not for the first time, because remember when they boo Rowley during the local government elections in St. James. He converted it to meet the prime minister, have a conversation with the prime minister, and with all of the officialdom, and utilize, of course, state money to make that happen. That is how dangerous these people are, and how profligate they are, and how bold-faced they are to abuse the treasury as they have been doing, and then telling us, but what, that they did the best for Trinidad and Tobago, and it is only the best that Trinidad and Tobago could have, of course, experience with their.
Remember,
get the hell out.
The Palms only bus route, and the Palms only main road.
Yeah.
They bring quite a ball up in a remote to go down there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they will have nobody here.
It's pathetic. It's pathetic. But it's now after 8, my friend. After 10, 8 minutes past 10. So yeah, I will make my departure. So we'll have a truncated program tonight, in spite of my tardiness, and we will go to the normal end. Yes.
Well, you see your partner will jump for you, eh?
Yes. I appreciate that, my friend. I appreciate that. And I know others are going to be looking at it in the morning. Surprise. All right. Thanks very much, my friend. Yes, we'll see tomorrow. Don't forget, people, of course, tomorrow morning, as usual, the ground report, Andy, Mikey, and myself, as I go, of course, to take my rest. Should I say active day, exhausting day. All right, but of course, we must go out appropriately, and therefore, of course, we must tell Rowley and they where the hell to get off. Yes, indeed.
Well, this is Massive Go Sign, and you know I support the UNC. When I write a big checklist song and I send it to a P&M print tree, and you know the blasted people misprint my song. Here with them.
Rowley must go. Rowley must go.
No, this is Massive Go Sign. Wicked and wild. Why do? What they do? Why do? What they do? Rowley, you fuck up Trinidad, you fuck it up, 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 you fuck it up. Rowley, you fuck up Trinidad, you fuck it up, 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 you fuck it up. From Citrus to Mayaro, you fuck up Trinidad. From Sando to Tobago, you fuck up Trinidad. Rowley, you fuck up Trinidad, you fuck it up, 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 you fuck it up. Rowley Muma planting garden long time now, but now she all and tired, she feeling how she passed the mantle to she's done without any doubt. Now Rowley on the taking and talking all about. You fuck up the Gabos and plant cassava, fuck up Chirano Sutal and plant hot pepper, fuck up the refinery and plant celery. You even gone so far to fuck up Gary. Rowley, you fuck up Trinidad, you fuck it up, you fuck it up, you fuck it up.
That is what transpired, yes. Indeed, no doubt.
Rowley,
read between the lines.
you fuck up Trinidad, you fuck it up. Mr. Kawe, why should everybody support you as the next political leader of the PNM and by extension the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago?
Hold
on, boss, hold on. You could talk English?
Yes. Everything is being camera. The PM is not doing nothing for this country. All the schools not completed. Look at the potholes. Look at crime situation. Vote for me, Kawe, for a better country.
This is a song about a man named Kawe from way down in South. This fella called Kawe from way down in South. Kawe is a fella the people talking about. Now he joined the PNM, they love him all the way. But all them in the PNM supporting Kawe. Rowley for Kawe, different for Kawe, struck for Kawe, fire for Kawe. Listen what I say, the whole of the PNM for Kawe, for Kawe, for Kawe. Yes, for Kawe. Oh, yo, yo, yo. Hey, hey, yo. Kawe is the real man. Kawe have a plan with foresight and vision to uplift the nation. Everybody calling him by name, and all them in the PNM riding him for fame. Camille for Kawe, Paula for Kawe,